Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Telling It Like It Is. My name is Jade Alberts, the founder of Peer Guidance. We listen, guide, connect, and grow small business startups and entrepreneurs. Sharing knowledge and stories is why I started Telling It Like It Is. It's live. If you have any questions, ask away. If you're watching this on a social media channel after the fact, slap your question in there and we will answer it. I would like to thank Bessie for their sponsorship. They sell 100% grass-finished Alberta beef, naturally raised chicken, and sashimi-grade seafood. It's vacuum sealed, packed for your size and for your convenience. Go to their website and they deliver it right to your door. Today's guest is Mark Raffan of the Negotiation Ninja and Content Callout. Mark, how are you today?
I'm fantastic, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, I've been looking forward to our conversation for quite some time after I always like talking about how we met. And I believe it was just Amanda reached out and connected us and we had a really good first conversation. We're obviously both passionate about growing companies the right way.
Yeah, man. She's killing it. She's one of my project managers and she's kicking ass and taking names. So big shout out to her.
Absolutely. I see her everywhere and commenting and introducing me to people. And I'm like, I tell people that's kind of how the Alberta entrepreneurial community is. Everybody supports everybody. If I can't help you, here's a referral. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Absolutely, man. We're fortunate, I think, Jade, to live in a province that still has, I think, very much sort of like a prairie grassroots mindset in that we want to help. But also we have very much sort of this fierce independence mindset where we want to make our own way as well. And so we've got a lot of amazing entrepreneurs in this city, in Calgary, and in this province in general. And so we're pretty blessed, man. Aside from all the bullshit that's happening now. Can I curse on your show? I feel like I can. I feel like we've got that relationship.
We do.
So yeah, I mean, aside from all the nonsense that's happening now, we're still very blessed. We're very lucky.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more with you. I'll give a brief introduction about you, Mark, and then we'll get right into it. Mark's a serial entrepreneur and lover of marketing and influence. He has built the #1 negotiation podcast in the world and is an expert in negotiation, influence, and persuasion. He has coached executive and teams in some of the largest companies in the world. He has been referenced in Entrepreneur, Forbes, Thrive, Global Supply and Demand, and Chain Executive Magazine as a 2019 Pro to Know, and has appeared on dozens of podcasts, including Making It Happen Mondays with John Barrows, The Brutal Truth About Sales with Brian Burns, and The Insider Guide to Finance with Corey Cleveland.
Shout out to Corey Cleveland.
Yes, there we go. Impressive name. So I'm so pumped that you actually said, hey, I'm going to come on some local show here.
Well, the local shows are where it's at, man. It's where we can connect on a real level, and that's why I like your show. It's because you're just telling it like it is, and that's great. We don't get a lot of that. Everyone's trying to, be something that they're not these days, and I feel like authenticity is something that's sorely missed in a lot of interviews. So I appreciate what you're doing.
No, I appreciate the shout out and again, I mean, I agree with you. It's just a chat between two guys that are passionate about growing businesses, and I wanted to make it as simple and down to earth as possible. That's always my goal.
Awesome, man. I'm pumped.
So am I. So let's talk a little bit about Content Callout. I know you just started this about a year and a half ago. So why did you do that?
You know what? For a long time, we tried to build our brand for Negotiations Ninja and figure out how we were going to develop a thought leadership brand. And we've been very successful doing that, building the podcast and building out the coaching business and getting clients that, when we first started, we thought we'd never be able to get. And it's all because of how we approached our brand building and how that set us apart as a thought leader within the space. And we figured, if we could do this for ourselves, we could probably do it for other people. So the whole idea behind Content Callout was to help B2B companies develop into thought leadership brands so that they can be recognized as thought leaders within their space, helping them develop content, helping them develop social media marketing, all that kind of stuff that helps them really set themselves apart from the competition. There's so much noise
Ooh.
in today's day and age, and there's so much competition. To really set yourself apart, you have to be working on your brand. So many people are focused on lead gen, which is great. Don't get me wrong. Lead gen's super important. But the thing that's going to sustain you long term is your brand. So working on developing that has to be core to what you're doing. And that's what we started doing. And that's who we started helping. And so far, it seems to be working, which is fantastic. We're super thrilled with the results that we've gotten, the clients that we've brought on, and the people that we're helping. And we're helping businesses get more business, which is really all that we want to do at the end of the day.
No, and I think we touched on this in our conversation a little bit before, but the importance of actually, like, when now you've created another podcast with your Content Callout, which is great, and we'll talk about that a little later on, but having something out there that gives you credibility in the ecosystem and being able to connect with small businesses and medium-sized businesses to say, hey, we need this, because not only is there a lot of noise out there, there's a lot of people that don't understand marketing out there that are pitching their services. And I can't tell you how many times I've come across someone that has spent $30, $40, $50,000 on a year's worth of marketing and got very little for it.
Yeah. I think people need to be very cognizant of how and where they're spending their money. And people need to be very aware of the different avenues that you can take within the whole realm of marketing. So if you're going to focus on building your brand, spending the money is critical up front. A lot of it you can do yourself, especially if you're a small business and you can't afford services like ours, for example. If you're willing to invest the time and you're willing to learn what it takes to develop that brand, you can do it yourself. It's going to take more time and you're going to screw it up, but that's part of the process. So if you're a small business listening to this right now, I would highly recommend that you invest in doing the research and doing the work that's required to do it yourself at the beginning, to learn what you need to learn, to figure out what kind of brand that you need to be, and be really intentional about it and think very strategically about how you want to build your brand. After that, getting a company like ours to come in and help you once you become that mid-market company, take you to the next level, for sure, that's a great idea, and you've got some cash flow, you've got some money to be able to help you, you should do that. But if you're a small business, you're just starting out, a lot of the stuff that you can do at the beginning as a thought leader, you can do yourself. Like, especially with the technology that we have today. I mean, think of what you're using right now to stream this. You're using BeLive. It's not super expensive to be able to use. In order to develop your own show, it doesn't take a ton of effort up front, compared to what it used to take in TV production or whatever it might have been. Now, that's not to say that it's not a lot of work, because it's a shitload of work. But if you're willing to put in the time and have a few sleepless nights, you can really accelerate your brand in a big, big way just by doing it yourself if you're a smaller company.
Absolutely. I'm talking with Mark Raffan of Content Callout and the Negotiations Ninja. Both those websites are on the comment section, so just click on them. It'll take you directly there. And I could not agree more with you on that, on your comment about learning to do it yourself. I had this conversation with a potential client on Friday, and they're like, oh, we need to hold this. And I was like, well, do you even know what you need? Do you even know what you're doing? Do you even know? Marketing could be a deep hole that you just keep plowing money into, but you don't need, you can start small. You don't need a lot. And knowing what works and doesn't work when they come to talk to you is very, very important. And they have looked at all these analytics. I've tried this. I've done this. How can you help me now, grow my company? But yet I know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah. Whenever you choose a marketing partner, if you're a small business and you're willing to spend the money, and a lot of that money can be, I'm just going to adjust my camera here. A lot of that money can be well spent. But you've got to know what you want to achieve. And I think if I was going to give any advice to any kind of small, medium-sized businesses going into this, figure out first what it is you want to achieve. What's your goal with the money that you want to spend, and what kind of results are you sort of expecting? That's going to help flavor the discussion that you have with any partner that you bring on to help you with the marketing, and get the KPIs in place, get the metrics in place that you want to achieve in order to know what success actually looks like. Now, a good marketing partner is going to help you and help educate you as to what you should be expecting, because maybe your goals are too low or potentially too high. But you should have an idea of who you want to be. If you're just starting out in the game, if you're just starting out your business, first work on who you want to be. And when I say who you want to be, I mean, what kind of organization do you want to be? What kind of thought leadership do you want to put out into the market? How are you going to start communicating with those people and those professionals in your space? Because without understanding what your goal is and where you want to be, where you want to get to, it becomes very challenging for you as an organization to get steps to reach that goal. And so what I would recommend to you is just really think about very clearly, what is the goal that you have and where do you want to be? Jade, I lost your video there for a sec. I hope you're still there, dude. Your video line's dead, Jade, as a heads up, if you can hear me. Well, for the people that are watching right now, and I know that we've got a few viewers on Facebook, Jade is obviously experiencing some technical difficulties. Let's do a one-man show. Anyone that has any questions with regards to marketing or negotiation, if you're a new business or a medium-sized business within your space, well, what are some of the challenges that you guys are facing right now? Is there anything that I can answer for you to help you with what you potentially might be going through right now? Let me know, comment. I'm going to get these comments a little bit delayed through the streaming service here, but hopefully I can help you answer some questions that you potentially might have for what it is you might be going through. Here we go. Is a question from Deborah. What would you say is your biggest bang for your buck? When it comes to marketing, Deborah, I think it really depends on the space that you're coming into. If you're a small business, biggest bang for your buck is going to be on lead gen. If you're going to be spending money, I would be spending money on probably a PPC campaign to begin with that helps bring leads in the door or helps to convert people into emails that you can then communicate with them on an ongoing basis. And then start putting money aside for the brand building, for content marketing that you can put out that's going to establish you as a thought leader within your space. And also for things that are going to help to separate you from the competition. So when we say content marketing, we mean things like blog posts, articles, potentially podcasts, video work that you can do on social media, things that are going to make you look like a much bigger company than you probably already are. So focus on developing an email campaign that you can communicate with your customers on an ongoing basis. So figure out how you're going to collect those emails, whether it's through a paid ads campaign or driving people organically through to your website through a lot of SEO work that you might be doing on content, or a combination of both, and keep that consistent momentum going so that you can keep communicating with your customer base and potential customers. And this is where a lot of people really fall flat, especially when they're first starting out, is they think that just because I'm only communicating with 100 or 200 people, that's, I shouldn't, it's a waste of time. But the more that you communicate with those people on a consistent basis to tell them what's going on and tell them about how you're leading the way and giving them educational resources to help them make good decisions, the more that they'll be able to do to help their own businesses and help their own lives. And that separates you as a thought leader in their mind. So when you can become the thought leader in their mind, now you've entered a new phase of your brand building, essentially. So really work on developing a consistent content stream that you can send out to those businesses or to those people that can help them make better decisions or buy better products or buy better services, whatever it might be. That's probably where I would be spending my money. Best bang for my buck. And if I'm going to be spending money on PPC campaigns, it's going to be PPC campaigns that are going to be driving people to an opt-in screen, a landing page where I can collect those emails, I can collect that contact information of them so that I can keep in contact with them. So that's probably where you're going to be spending, or should be spending, the first bit of money that you might have on marketing. It really depends on what you're looking for. Yeah, you should be super excited about the day that you can hire someone to do this. It's a really exciting time, Deborah. So anytime that you can put some money aside for that, I would recommend that. Save up and then go from there. You bet. No problem. You're back.
Look at first what time ever in 150 episodes that my internet crashed at my house. I was like, oh my God, I'm panicking.
It's okay. Deborah and I had a fantastic conversation.
Well, I'm so happy that you're an experienced podcaster, because you just took over, which was awesome. And Deborah, thank you for asking all these questions. I tell you, technology, you just never know.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I apologize, but hey, it is what it is, and that's not.
Don't worry about it.
Part of business, right? You just keep on rolling. Oh my gosh! Well, you should have seen the panic on my face for the last couple minutes.
All good. Yeah, no, we had a fantastic conversation, and some interesting questions come up when you're listening to conversations like this, where you're thinking like, okay, but how does this apply to me? So if you're listening to this right now, whatever stream you're listening to, what I would recommend is ask the questions. Like Deborah did a great example of how does this impact me? How can I apply this to my life or my business? So if you're listening to this or watching this, reach out, ask a question, let us know what you think, and hopefully we can answer that for you and see how that applies in your business.
Oh, absolutely. One of the taglines that we use is asking for help is not a sign of weakness. And again, we
no, never. Don't ever think that you're weak by asking for help.
And the amount of questions that I have got over the last 6 to 8 months has been awesome. People are like, oh my goodness, what should I do? And I've seen a lot of really good companies, and even Deborah, they kind of rebranded and are out, and Daphne and a few others start to really pick up their marketing game and starting to share their story a lot more. And I'm seeing some of them continue that. So I'm extremely happy. And, obviously I wish everything was back to normal and there was no COVID, but having some people pick up their marketing has really stepping their game up has really helped their companies.
Yeah, look, this presents a massive opportunity. I know COVID's a terrible time for a lot of people, but it presents a massive opportunity for a lot of people who are willing to take a couple of risks and take a couple of chances. We were chatting about this before we got started. There's a massive amount of opportunity to separate yourself as a thought leader during this time, because so many big companies are cutting back on marketing spend because it's an expense in their minds. And so they're not investing. So this is potentially the first time and maybe the only time where you're not going to be competing with as much noise as you would have in the past. So now you get to really play and see what works, see what doesn't work, see how you can expand your brand and how you can bring in more business, and play with Facebook marketing, play with LinkedIn marketing, see how it's going to affect your business, because now more than ever, you get the opportunity to be able to play in a world where there's not as much noise as there used to be.
No, absolutely. Again, I'm talking with Mark Raffan, Content Callout Negotiation Ninja, and co-host of Telling It Like It Is today. Go to the comment section and you can click on their website. So I know a lot of the people that we deal with and we talk with might not pertain to your negotiation ninja, as we, might be a little higher up on the food chain, so to say. But negotiation is such an important part from the get-go. And why don't you talk about your podcast and what Negotiation Ninja does?
Sure. Yeah. So Negotiations Ninja is a negotiation training, coaching, and content company. The training that we provide is to enterprise level sales teams and procurement teams to help them get better deals, to become more profitable. So when I say enterprise level, I mean Fortune 500 level and higher. Companies that can really, really make an impact with even just dollars that they're saving or dollars that they're making at scale. Yeah. So we help those companies get better deals, and then that's the training side. And then the coaching side is on an individual basis at a leadership level within those companies, help those organizations develop better leaders. So the negotiation is a big, big part of leadership that so many people miss out on, whether it's with your employees, your peers, the people above you. Everyone needs to learn how to negotiate better to get more value out of life and to get more value out of their employees. And so we're helping those leaders on a coaching basis. And then at a content level, that's our podcast, our blog, everything that we do on social media, the cartoons that we release. And it's all about making sure that we can evangelize good negotiation practices, because the unfortunate thing is there's a lot of bad negotiation practices that are being flouted. And we want to make sure that we are leading the way when it comes to talking about what good and bad negotiation actually looks like and how to get the results that make sense for your organization. So regardless of the size of company that you run or the size of company that you work in, the content that we release is going to be able to help you. Now, our services may not be able to help you depending on the size of your organization. We work with some larger companies, and if you're a small business, probably you shouldn't be spending money with us because we're very expensive. So go and do your work and read and research as much as possible on negotiation to get better. But if you're part of a much larger organization, then you could probably afford our services to be able to help you to take your negotiation, sales, procurement teams to the next level. The Negotiations Ninja podcast is really about being the best that you can be with the skills that you can develop. And so we bring in guests like Chris Voss, who was the former chief hostage negotiator for the FBI. He's been on the show a few times. Gary Nesner, who was also in the same sort of role for the FBI. He was the negotiator for the Waco crisis. So if you remember back in the day, Waco, Texas, the Branch Davidians had that massive issue. He was the guy that negotiated at the beginning of that deal. Business negotiators, sales negotiators, procurement negotiators, people from all walks of life, whether they're from China or India or North America, South America, because we want to bring in the best experts from all over the world to be able to show you what it takes to be a great negotiator. And the benefit is, of course, that our guests are getting a ton of value out of it. And in the process, we've developed an entirely massive following of negotiation professionals that have helped us become the #1 negotiation podcast in the world. And I would love to take credit for that, but it's in large part due to the amazing guests that we have. So we're fortunate in that we have access to all of these incredible people to come on and share their wisdom, share their knowledge, share their skills.
Well, I mean, and that's just I mean, you appreciate it. The same type of philosophy that I have, bringing on people like yourself to share their knowledge, people that are willing to share their knowledge. We have an ecosystem that wants to do that. Someone wants to learn how to become a better negotiator. You don't need to go to a farmer's market. You don't need to go to Mexico and haggle with the people. Well, you can't anyway right now. But I mean, just watching your podcast, right? You put a little time away for growing yourself as a person, and that will help you grow as a company as well. So it's so important to get out there and learn something new, whether it's every day or once a week, whatever it may be. Just that will help you grow as a person and as a company.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot, and again, this is going to go back to the same sort of advice that I gave for the marketing thing. There's a lot here that you can do on your own to get better. There's some incredible books and resources that are available virtually for free online. I mean, it's like $10 for a paperback negotiation book that could potentially change your life, right? And the value that kind of information presents to you as a small business owner could really separate you and take you to the next level in terms of income and profitability, because now you're actually starting to think like someone who wants to get better value from those negotiations or from those conversations. And so you're going to ask for more than you expect to get or that you did before, and that's going to generate more opportunity for you. The value of good negotiation skills cannot be understated. It's so important to any kind of new business that's starting out. And so many people are so worried about scale and growth and growing as fast as possible. But what they forget about in that process is maintaining profitability. And if you forget about maintaining profitability, then you're not going to be successful in the long term unless you've got deep pockets and you've got a lot of funding. So make sure that as you scale, you're still maintaining that profitability over a certain amount of time. And the easiest way to do that is to improve your negotiation skills.
Could not agree more. I mean, I always like to think I'm a good negotiator, but then all of a sudden I come up with someone who kind of knows what they're doing, and I just get slaughtered.
That's a good experience too, though, right? Like you've got to have those failures to learn from your mistakes.
Absolutely.
You're not always going to have home runs.
No. Oh, and I've got a lot of lessons learned in my life. That's for sure. So I mean that is awesome, and I wanted to talk and touch base on the negotiation side, because I truly believe it is very important, and it'll benefit you and your company going forward. So let's talk content call out again. So what's next for you and your team, Mark?
What we're really focusing on right now is making sure that the quality of service that we're delivering to our customers is industry leading. And this is a big part of brand building that people forget about. People think that it's all about the logo or the content or whatever it is you produce. But to a large extent, your brand is a promise that you make to your customer. And that promise has to exist throughout every single layer of service that you might have. So regardless of what it is you do, your brand is what you do and how you do it. And when you can deliver top industry leading service, quality, and products to your existing customer base and to your future customer base, that is your best marketing. That is your best brand builder. And so for us right now, especially during this time of COVID, we've been very fortunate. We've brought on a lot of customers during this time because people want to develop their brands during this time. We want to focus as best we can to be top of the line, white glove service that you won't get anywhere else. So for us, it's really about making sure that our customers are know that we're here for them, that get constant communication from us. They know that we're in their corner. We're going to do everything that we can for them to be successful. And when we come out at the end of this pandemic, better than it already is, which is already fantastic.
No, I can't agree more with that comment as well. I mean, it's so important for people to understand that. And I just put the website out there, but again, you can click on the comment section and it'll take you directly there. But it's so important to know what does and doesn't work on the marketing and the brand building side. And to learn how to do that yourself is priceless. And when they're ready to come to talk to someone like yourself, they can talk the lingo. You can have these conversations that are so important. And it's not just you and your team saying, do this, do this, do this, do this.
Yeah, you're better educated.
Absolutely.
You're just bet you've made the mistakes. You know what you want. You know what you don't want. And now you can talk to us and say, okay, here's where I want to be. This is what I want to do. Here's what I want to develop. This is the area that I want to go into. How does that jive with what you do? And are we a fit for each other? And I think that to a large extent, whenever you're choosing a marketing partner, this is really important for any kind of small or medium-sized business that's developing. Not only do they have to be a fit in the type of work that they can do for you, but they have to be a fit culturally for your organization as well. Because you've got to know that if you're the type of person that's going to call whoever your contact is there at 11 o'clock on a Saturday night where you're stressed out about a campaign that's coming up and you just need someone to talk you off the ledge, you've got to know that if you can pick up the phone and call that person, they're going to pick up. Or if you're a super relaxed person that wants someone to just take the reins and take it for you, culturally, they have to be that type of person as well. So the culture fit in picking the agency that you want to run your marketing is a big, big deal that a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah. And that trust. I mean, it has to be there when you're having these conversations, and I've been there and still do them, and we're talking and ideas are flying and you're like, this is great. I love it. Come up with something for me. Right. Even though I felt that I was part of the process, I don't have the time. This is now your job, but we're on the same page, and nothing makes somebody feel more gratifying or more pumped when they're leaving a meeting and they're like, man, that was just wonderful. We know what we're doing. We know how we want to get there. And I trust them to make sure this works.
Yeah. And be critical about how you think about trust as well. It's not just about trusting someone to do it, but when you look at trust, really there's three parts to it, right? The person or that company has to have integrity, right? So they got to do what they said they were going to do. They've got to do it consistently, and then they've got to have competency as well. Integrity, doing what you said you were going to do, consistency all the time, competency with knowledge, skill, and ability. So when you think about trust as sort of like the three-legged stool, think about those aspects and think about how it ties into how it fits with you culturally, and use that as a barometer for, is this company going to be the right partner for me?
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to say that that's the one piece of advice that we should give, but I'm not going to let you walk away that easy. Even though I might even use that one, because that one is really, really good, because the 3 levels of trust, that's just a beautiful statement. I do love it. But if you did have one piece of advice for a small business entrepreneur or startup, Mark, what would that be?
Be okay with making mistakes. That's probably the biggest piece of advice that I can give anyone who's starting out, is you're going to fuck up. It's just going to happen. And know that when you do that, when you fuck up, it's okay. It's okay to screw up. It's okay to take risks. It's okay to take chances. But make sure that when you do, you learn from it. So make sure that it's not a mistake that's made in vain. Take the chances, take the risks, make sure you're making educated decisions, all the rest of it. I'm not just saying, shoot from the hip. You're going to still think about the decisions that you're making, but when you screw up, learn from it and be okay with screwing up. If you're in a small business or a startup, it's just going to happen, and it's going to happen at scale sometimes. So when you make one decision, it just goes boom through the organization, and you see everything collapsing around you. Like, oh my God, my life is over. It's not over. It was just a mistake. You can recover from this. It's okay to make mistakes.
Oh, could not agree more. And that's a great advice. And we talk about taking chances all the time. Try this, try that, learn from it, fail fast, and move on. And there's no better advice in that can be given, in my opinion. So I appreciate that, Mark. I really appreciate you coming on, sharing your knowledge, co-hosting when my internet crashed.
Happy to do so, my friend. Happy to do so. You're killing it, by the way. Thank you so much for having me on.
It was so good. I mean, I appreciate everything, and I enjoy the conversations that we had in the past, and I look forward to having another one. And I know there's a few things we didn't get to. We were going to talk analytics a little bit, but I mean, that's something. If anybody has a question, they can put it into the comment section, or reach out to Mark directly or myself, and I can get you his contact information. But again, all of it's in the comment section. Thanks again, Mark. I really appreciate you spending time with us today, and have a great day.
Yeah, thanks for doing what you do for Alberta businesses, man. This is great.
No, I appreciate it, as do you. So thanks again for all your help. Bye-bye.